The jacket. The desert wind carried dust across the highway as the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon. Sarah sat on the side of the road. Her 3-year-old daughter Emma pressed against her chest. Her hands trembled as she held the child close, feeling the tiny heartbeat against her own racing pulse. The evening air was cooling, but Sarah barely noticed. Her left eye was swollen, her lips split and bleeding. Her clothes were torn and dirty from being shoved onto the gravel. She could still hear Marcus's voice, filled with rage, telling her to leave and never come back. Emma whimpered softly, her small fingers clutching her mother's tattered shirt. The little girl didn't understand what had happened, only that her mother was crying, and they were sitting on a road in the middle of nowhere. Sarah had met Marcus 2 years ago, 6 months after Emma's father had left them. Marcus had seemed kind at first. He had promised to take care of them, to give Emma the father she deserved. But slowly, the kindness had faded. The anger had come in waves, unpredictable and terrifying. Today had been the worst. Sarah had defended Emma when Marcus had yelled at her for spilling juice. That defense had cost her everything. He had struck her repeatedly before throwing them both out of his truck on this empty stretch of highway. 30 miles from town. Now she sat there, broken and afraid, with no phone, no money, and no way to protect her daughter from the approaching darkness. The road stretched empty in both directions. Scrub brush and sand filled the landscape. A dead tree stood nearby like a silent witness to her despair. Sarah's body ached, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the crushing weight of failure that pressed down on her shoulders. She had tried so hard to give Emma a better life. Every choice, every sacrifice had been for her daughter, and now they had nothing. "Mama hungry," Emma whispered, her voice small and scared. Sarah's heart broke. "I know, baby, I know." She heard the sound of an engine in the distance. A vehicle was approaching from the west, heading east toward them. Sarah's instinct was to hide, to protect Emma from whoever might be coming, but she was too exhausted to move. A white pickup truck appeared, slowing as it neared them. Sarah tensed, pulling Emma closer. The truck came to a stop about 20 feet away. A man stepped out. He wore a navy blue suit, crisp and expensive-looking, completely out of place on this desert highway. He was tall, perhaps in his early 40s, with graying hair at his temples. His face showed concern as he took in the scene before him. "Are you hurt?" he called out, keeping his distance, as if he understood that approaching too quickly might frighten her. Sarah didn't answer. She watched him carefully, ready to run despite her exhaustion. The man raised his hands slowly, showing he meant no harm. "My name is David Chen. I'm heading back to Phoenix from a business meeting. You look like you might need help." Still, Sarah said nothing. Trust was a luxury she could no longer afford. David stood quietly for a moment, then did something unexpected. He slowly removed his suit jacket, moving deliberately so as not to startle her. He walked forward carefully, stopping several feet away, and laid the jacket on the ground between them. "It's getting cold," he said gently, "for your daughter." Then he stepped back to his truck and leaned against it, giving her space. Sarah stared at the jacket. It was such a simple gesture, but something about it broke through her defenses. This man hadn't demanded anything. He hadn't come too close. He had simply offered warmth to a child who needed it. With shaking hands, she reached forward and pulled the jacket toward them. It was soft, expensive fabric, still warm from his body. She wrapped it around Emma's shoulders. The little girl snuggled into it immediately. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, her voice hoarse. David nodded. "Can I ask what happened?" The words came slowly at first, then faster. Sarah told him about Marcus, about being thrown from the truck, about having nowhere to go. She told him about Emma's father leaving, about the years of struggle, about every choice that had led to this moment on the side of the road. David listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "I'm going to tell you something," he finally said. 20 years ago, I was sleeping in my car with my son. His mother had left us. I had lost my job. I thought we had hit bottom. Sarah looked up at him, surprised. "A woman stopped to help us," David continued. "She was a teacher, didn't have much money, but she bought us dinner and helped me find a shelter. She told me something I've never forgotten. She said, the measure of a person isn't where they are. It's what they do with the help they're given." He pushed away from the truck and walked a little closer, still maintaining a respectful distance. "I built my company from nothing," he said. "I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you because I understand what it feels like to be where you are right now. And I want to help if you'll let me." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. "I don't want charity. I just want my daughter to be safe." "I'm not offering charity," David said. "I'm offering opportunity. My company has a program for people getting back on their feet. We provide temporary housing, job training, and childcare. It's not a handout. You'd work for everything you get, but it would give you a chance to start over." Emma stirred in Sarah's arms, looking up at the stranger with curious eyes. "Why?" Sarah asked. "Why would you do this for us?" David smiled sadly. "Because someone did it for me, and because I see in your eyes the same determination I felt back then. You're not broken. You're just bruised. There's a difference." The sun was touching the horizon now, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Sarah looked down at Emma, then at the jacket wrapped around her, then back at David. For the first time in hours, she felt something other than despair. She felt hope. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay." David helped them into his truck, careful and respectful. As they drove toward Phoenix, Emma fell asleep in Sarah's lap, still wrapped in the jacket. Sarah watched the desert pass by the window, each mile taking them further from the nightmare and closer to a new beginning. 6 months later, Sarah would have her own small apartment. She would be working in David's company, learning skills she never knew she had. Emma would be in a good daycare, laughing and playing with other children. The bruises would fade, both the visible ones and the deeper wounds that had taken longer to heal. But on that evening, as the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Sarah simply held her daughter close and allowed herself to believe that sometimes, when everything falls apart, a stranger's kindness can be the beginning of putting the pieces back together. The jacket remained a symbol of that night, hung carefully in Sarah's closet, a reminder that compassion still existed in the world, and that accepting help wasn't weakness. It was the courage to start again,